My name's Jacob. I'm a Kiwi from the South Island, born and raised in a cherry orchard. Studied in Christchurch, New Zealand, did my undergraduate in commerce and economics. Went and worked for 3 years at a company called Assure Quality, and then made the decision to go over to Oxford to do my MBA.
I'm Korean by birth. I did my primary school in Canada, and then I kind of bounced around. But I first came to Australia for my undergraduate degree, finished that, worked in Sydney for a few years, and then I decided to pursue a postgraduate degree in law. And that's how I found myself at the University of Sydney doing my JD.
My name is Chloe Hogan, and I'm an associate in the litigation and dispute resolution team at Cooper Grace Ward in Brisbane. I did my Masters of Law at the University of California in Los Angeles.
Looking at overseas universities for an MBA versus New Zealand, there were three main motivators. The first was just to open up more doors, so having that accreditation gives you more opportunity for jobs after you graduate. The second was around exposure. So going overseas, especially being a Kiwi from a small town, we don't know what we don't know. And the third was just to have fun, to make the most of that.
What motivated me to go overseas was definitely having the opportunity to broaden my professional network and meet people from all around the world and learn, about different legal systems and different countries that people had come from.
It can be an investment for international students, a large one to consider coming and studying here, and same for me. And I guess just thinking about how I'm kind of going to come up with the funds to actually fund my studies was definitely a real question.
Definitely the biggest financial challenge is the cost of tuition. I had an academic scholarship, and even then it is still an enormous financial exercise to undertake, because you're not going to work for a year, you're going to go to full-time study, you're going to live in a foreign country.
So what made me think of loans as a financing option? I tapped out all the other options. I investigated traditional loan options, but I didn't have anything for collateral, and I didn't have the ability to make repayments throughout the year I wasn't working.
I guess I've initially considered just family, whatever savings I've had, and any other kind of private benefactors that might be able to kind of help. Canadian government loans, kind of the HEX equivalent of Australia, I guess, played a part in that as well. But it was definitely not a clear-cut process. I had to pool together resources to make it happen.
When it comes to traditional loans, I think the biggest thing is the interest rates and the timeframes in which people are expected to repay them. And you're also, the second you take out that loan, you're paying for that loan. So when I was talking with banks and trying to decide how I would fund my experience, the biggest challenge would be not working and still funding that loan.
So a couple of critical elements when comparing the different options on price. The first was just the overall rate you paid per year, and I found with Spark that was lower than competitors, so that was a really attractive option. Two other factors, there was a grace period for repayments, and so it gave you kind of freedom to take a few months after the MBA before you had to start making repayments. And then the third was around lack of penalties. So twice I've been able to make lump sum repayments since I've started my job. That's been a smooth process, and there's been no penalty fees.
And I was almost at the point where I might consider just pausing my studies, going back home, and I looked up online, and I think Spark was actually, if not the only, one of the few institutions that even offered generous loan, I guess, conditions for international students.
So I actually came across Spark Finance through comments on a LinkedIn post. So there was a post from an MBA admissions consultant talking about lending options, and a few that currently existed in the market. I commented saying that I'd tested all of them and none of them worked. And then one of the co-founders of Spark, Ewan, saw that comment, got in touch and said, look, we've got a company that can solve this problem.
My mum actually discovered Spark Finance. I had been told by my colleagues that there were loan providers in the US and the UK that did these student loans for people that were doing postgraduate study overseas.
I will definitely say they made it easy. Again, very clear-cut process. The stages were outlined clearly, the type of paperwork I would have to submit. And if I did have any questions or any issues procuring, let's say like a credit score or something like that, there was always someone at Spark that would be able to help me through the process. And yeah, the process itself did not take very long. I think it was really contingent on how fast I can deliver the required paperwork.
I think once I'd had a chat to the team at Spark on like how it works, and once I decided I was interested, the application was quick and easy. The team was super responsive. And once it was approved, getting the funding paid to the university was also smooth. And since then, it's been nice and easy.
Had I not found Spark Finance, I think day to day it would have been a lot different.
Just the fact that I was allowed to continue my studies because of the help I got from Spark, that in of itself is immense. You know, I have a lot of international student friends, unfortunately, that had to put a pause on their degrees and go back home, and they're finding it very difficult to kind of find the rhythm again.
And so having that loan option allowed me to go over and really focus on the education and also the fun side. I couldn't recommend going overseas and doing an MBA more. It's a great way to go get a fantastic education, exposure to things you've never seen before, and just have an amazing time while you're doing it.